Hello ENC 1102 students. The last time I spoke to you was to explain how to do your pre-writing exercise number 1, and I want to explain to you now how this exercise leads to your next 2 assignments. So after you've completed this, it ended with part B, and part B of this exercise was you proposing to me 4 possible questions that might be good argument questions for your next essay. So I've got 1 here, I've got 2, I've got 3, and I've got 4. So after you submit those to me, I probably gave you some feedback on it. And I said, well, now it's time that we've kind of opened up our minds to a few different writing ideas. It's time for us to go looking for sources. So most of you are familiar with the format for the double entry notes. This will be you looking for your eighth source. And I asked you at the top, I say, well, from that first exercise where you proposed 4 questions to me, what's one that you think, well, this might be something I want to write about? If you write about this issue, it would be one where you're looking for support that could maybe support one side of the argument, or support to answer to maybe support or evidence that goes with the other side of the argument. So I need you to propose one of those 4. You're not stuck with it. This is just the one you're doing right now. And like you've done in the past, I'm going to ask you to provide me the URL link so that if I want to see the source, I can. So after I give you feedback on these double entry notes to you, we'll be ready to assign your second pre-writing exercise. And that second pre-writing exercise is going to look like this. So we're going to take those 4 ideas that you submitted to me, those 4 questions that you submitted in your first pre-writing exercise. You already started looking for a source, so you start seeing that maybe one of these questions might be better in providing reliable sources for you. So now we're going to say, okay, we're going to rule out 2 of these now. So we're going from 4 now. We're going to say, okay, let's look at 2 of them in more depth. And as we look at 2 of them, I'm going to ask you to put them to a test of some kind. So I'm going to show you what a completed exercise of this would look like. Remember, you're doing it for not 1 question, you're doing it for 2. This is the template of what it looks like. And again, it shows you there's space here for 2 questions. So in trying to pick a good topic to write about, we kind of examine the question from a couple different angles. So here's one I have here. It says, what is the fairest and most effective way to pay public school teachers? Again, I know this is a good argument because not everybody would answer it the same way. I also know it's a good argument because I can identify 2 groups of people that would disagree about how to answer that. I've got public school teachers that have their own opinion about the fairest and most effective way that they should be paid. And I have Republican state legislators. These are the people that actually allocate the money for schools. So they might not see things entirely the same way. So after you proposed your question and you proposed 2 different groups that would view this differently, I want you to tell me, well, how would this group of people answer this question? So public school teachers, when asked what is the fairest and most effective way to pay them, would say teacher salaries should reflect the difficulty and importance of the job to society. On the other hand, Republican state legislators, they would answer this question like this. A teacher's experience and college degrees should not be the main factors in calculating teacher salaries because they have different points of view. These aren't necessarily opposite, they're just different from each other. So the last thing we do to put a question to the test is we'll say, okay, let's start thinking like these public school teachers. What are 2 reasons why they believe this point of view? So I've got 1 reason here. Teachers are as important to society as firefighters, but those firefighters make much more money than teachers. Here's another one. Advanced countries pay teachers more than the U.S. does. At the same time, we're going to give our other audience, the Republican state legislators, a chance to explain why they would believe this. And they would say many young teachers make much less money than older teachers, yet the younger teachers are often more effective. And they would say that private business pays people based on results, not seniority or big degrees. So this is one of 2 questions you're going to put to the test. You have to do that for a second question. And after you propose this second question to me, you'll start thinking, well, I got to start looking for sources now for one of these two questions. One of these two questions is going to be the one that you write about. So until our next lesson, I wish you all good luck. Okay, how long was that?